Hello and welcome to the Autocar Show. Now, it's not the best day to be out on a test drive, but even the weather gods can't hold me back today because there's loads of expectations from this vehicle, the Hyundai Creta. Kind of requests I've been receiving in the last few weeks for a test drive and review is crazy. I've never seen this kind of response. It is creating quite a buzz. Hyundai have a wide range of engines. They even have a diesel automatic. Loads of expectations from this car. Can it live up to it? Well, at first glance, it looks larger than other compact SUVs like the Ford EcoSport, and still small enough to be a practical size. It has a long bonnet with a squarish SUV stance, upright grille, skid plates, and a big front bumper to make it look more SUV. But once you view it round to the side, there's still the flowing lines that we're still so used to from Hyundai. The wider bottom half when you view it from the side and the flowing roofline as well give it a more soft-roader feel. It also sits lower to the ground than its rivals like the Duster and Terrano, which add to the look of a vehicle that's more suited to urban conditions. The rear is attractive too, with the wraparound taillights and steeply raked rear windscreen with the spoiler and skid plates. It's a nice looking car and one that would draw customers to it. So the inside of the Creta is really nice. It feels premium. It has this flowing form. It's very recognizable as a Hyundai, but it has some unique features as well, like the door handles. And as you can see, there's loads on offer here on this top-end variant. You have the steering mounted controls, you have the touchscreen info display system, you have sat-nav, you have aux, USB, Bluetooth connectivity, climate control. You have these lovely leather seats which feel quite premium. So it's packed with features. The top spec SXO is loaded with equipment that includes push-button start, automatic climate control, Bluetooth connectivity, a rear-view camera, navigation systems, rear aircon vents, steering-mounted audio and telephony controls, and leather upholstery. The automatic version will be available in the lower SX variant, and it misses out on features like leather upholstery. It also gets a smaller 16-inch rims instead of the 17 inches on top trim, and only 2 airbags instead of the full 6. Based on customer feedback, Hyundai added the beige into the interiors, and it does help lighten them and give the feeling of space. The brushed silver accents look nice, and overall in terms of quality, it definitely sets the bar high. The front seats themselves are super comfortable, and it's easy to settle into a good driving position. When you first get in and drive the diesel, you realize just how smooth and refined it is. You barely hear it, and when you're at cruising speeds, it's just not even audible. In fact, overall cabin insulation is really good and you feel nicely cocooned inside the Creta. We started off with the familiar 1.6 diesel from the Verna, which is mated to a manual transmission. It churns out a healthy 126 bhp, but more importantly, a very strong 26.5 kgm of torque. This is a nice punchy diesel engine. It's one that we're familiar with. Yes, there is a little bit of lag, especially when you're climbing up a hill section like this. You drop below the 1700 RPM mark. You'll find that you do have to work the gears. However, it's a nice slick gearbox that's easy to use, so it doesn't really bother you much. But beyond that, this engine is really enjoyable and you can really have some fun with it. Out on the highway too, it feels nice and strong. Overtaking is easy, and every time you put your foot down, power is served up easily. The punchy mid-range and tall gearing make it nice for long runs on highways. Keep it in the power band, which is between 2000 and 4000 RPM, and this engine is really pleasing. Whilst you're out on the highway, you also realize that the Creta, though not as planted as the Duster, gives you enough confidence to cruise in a relaxed manner. The steering, well, better than most Hyundais that we're used to. It feels well weighted around the corners, and even the feel at dead center is good, so out on a highway you feel quite stable and planted. However, it's not really crisp or sharp or extremely responsive. In fact, the problem really lies in the fact that the steering is slow to react at times. Come around a U-bend and you'll find that it doesn't come back to center as fast as you'd like, and you have to bring it back. Also, around a series of corners, the steering's flaws are more prominent. However, the car has a good amount of body control and roll is well contained, so if you drive it at a reasonable pace and don't push it, it does the job well. Straight line stability is also surprisingly good with the improved steering feel at center. And the fact that the steering is light and easy to turn makes it very convenient for city driving too. We also drove the petrol manual shared with the Verna, which has 121 bhp and produces 15.4 kgm of torque. The smaller torque figure is noticeable out on the road. So now we're driving the petrol engine, which feels extremely smooth and refined as well. If you're looking for excitement, you're not going to find it here. This engine takes a while to pick up the pace. Once you do, you can settle into a cruise quite comfortably. But what it does really well is let you amble around quite comfortably. You can be, like I am in third gear, drop down to almost 1500 RPM, even lower. Just put your foot down, pick up the pace again without any hesitation. So what this engine would be really good for is your daily commute in city traffic. The mid-range is a bit flat and it doesn't like being pushed, so shift up early and drive at a relaxed pace and it will be happier. The Creta also comes with a 6-speed automatic gearbox, a segment first. In the normal D mode with a relaxed driving style, the gearbox shifts up much earlier, so progress is relaxed but adequately rapid. Thanks to the torque converter masking the engine's initial turbo lag, the power delivery is quite linear, making this Hyundai easy to drive. We didn't get much of an outing in the diesel automatic, but we'll bring you our full-on review soon. Well, that's the story from behind the wheel, but let's get into what the passengers can expect. So when you view the Creta from the outside and look at its dimensions, you just don't imagine the amount of space that you could have in this backseat. It is really impressive. There's loads of legroom, the bench is nice and wide, floorboard is flat, the rear console doesn't really intrude into the rear, so you can fit a third person in very comfortably. And while I'm talking about that console, I must mention you have the rear AC vents as well. But yes, space is impressive at the back here. The only thing is that the seat is set a bit low, window line is high, so it doesn't give you the impression of having the amount of space that it really does. The seats could have also done with a little more thigh support, but it's comfortable enough and spending long hours in this backseat will be easy, especially if it's for daily city commutes. The ride quality has this nice, soft, supple, rounded edge, and over bad sections of road like this, you're kept quite well isolated from all the bumps and potholes. They don't filter through much, but when you pick up the pace, you realize that you do get quite tossed around in this backseat. So the ride is not as flat as the Duster or Terrano, but it's not uncomfortable enough to be a deal breaker either. So it suffices to say that with the impressive amount of space, the backseat of the Creta scores well. Also making it more practical is a reasonable size boot, which has a flat floorboard and little intrusion on the sides, so packing in a load of luggage is quite easy. Overall, the Creta seems to be a well-rounded vehicle that may not be the best in certain areas, but it certainly seems to do most things well enough. So the Creta is not truly an SUV in the sense that it doesn't have 4x4. So you're not really going to be able to take it off-roading a lot. But what the Creta does well is it gives you a premium feeling on the inside. The interiors are really good. It's spacious, it's comfortable, so it's practical in that sense. It's got a nice range of engines. The diesel feels punchy. Let's not forget there's the only diesel automatic available in its segment. And of course, it's easy to drive. So if you're looking for a premium, sophisticated soft-roader, then the Creta is really the car for you. But let's not forget that that premiumness comes at a premium price as well.